Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Khoj Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation is Maj Mahalla Tija. Satgur Sachi Sikh Suṇai, Har Cheto Ant Hoye Sikhai, Har Agam Agochar Anath Ajoni, Satgur Kੈ Pae Pavaniya, Avari Jio Vari, Aap Nivaraniya, आप गवाए तां हर पाए, हर स्यों सहज समावणिया रहाओ, पूरब लिखिया सो कर्म कमाया, सतगुर सेव सदा सुख पाया, बिन भागां गुर पाइयै नाही, सबदे मेल मिलावणिया, गुरमुख लपत रहे संसारे, गुर कै तकिए नाम आधारे, गुरमुख जोर करे क्या तिसनो, आपे खप दुख पावणिया, मनमुख अंधे सुध न काई, आत्मघाती हैं जगत कसाई, निंदा कर बहु भार उठावे, बिन मजूरी भार पहुँचावणिया, यह जगवाड़ी मेरा प्रभ माली, सदा संभाले को नाही खाली, जे ही वासना पाए ते ही वरतै, वासु वास जणावणिया, मनमुख रोगी है संसारा, सुख दाता विसरिया अगम अपारा, दुखिए नित फिरे बिल लादे, बिन गुर सांत न पावणिया, जिन कीते सोई बिद जाने, आप करे ता हुक्म पछाणे, जेहा अंदर पाए तेहा वरतै, आपे बाहर पावणिया, तिस बाजों सच्चे मैं होर न कोई, जिस लाए लय सो निर्मल होई, नानक नाम वसे घट यंतर, जिस देवै so pavaniya. In Rag Maj, composition of the third Nanak, Guru Amar Das, begins by establishing the right method, as we will see. The true enlightener, he says, gave the proper instruction to me, Sachi Sikh Suṇai. And the instruction was, Har Cheto Ant Hoye Sikhai. Recall the Har self in your consciousness, because it is the Har that is the ultimate support. Ant Hoye Sikhai. Har Agam Agochar Anath Ajoni, Satgur Ka Pae Pavaniya. Here's the key. Through the loving Guru Enlightener, Satgur Ke Pae, is the inaccessible Agam, the transcendent Agochar, the unborn Ajoni, and the supreme, the one without a master, Anath, experienced. And salutations and offerings to those who have indeed dissolved their ego, Aap Nivaranya, and having removed their ego, Aap Gavaye Ta, found the Har self. And then the Guru says, they sink into their real nature with intuitive ease. Sehaj. Purab likhya so karm kamaya, Satgur sev sada sukh paya, bin bhaga guru paiye nahi sabde mel milavanya. And here the Guru says the actions of the past, Purab likhya, have been fruitless. Sokaram is undesirable effects. But serving the true enlightener, an unwavering tranquility was found, Sada Sukhapaya, through the Satguru's instruction and discourse, Savde, the true self was discovered. So in other words, bin paga gur paiye nahi. The Guru Enlightener is not found until one is filled with receptivity. Gurmukh alipat rahe sansare, gur ke takiye naam adhare. Gurmukh jor kare kya tisno, ape khap dukh pavaniya. The point here is who or what can get in the way of the Gurmukh. Gurmukh jor kare kya tisno. Those who obstruct a Gurmukh meet a sorry end. Ape khap dukh pavaniya. This is the outcome of following the Guru's teachings. And then now, those who are not initiated into the Guru's teaching, how are they doing? Manmukh ande suddhana kai. They lack awareness and engage in self-destructive, suicidal behavior. Atmagati hai jagat kasai, and that behavior is injurious to the world. The manmukh carries the burden of slander, reproach, and censure of others. Ninda kar bahu par uthave, but derives no benefit from it. Bin majuri par puchavanya. Now, the nuance of the word ninda needs to be considered here, because ninda has a connotation that means wrong belief or wrong method or applying the wrong technique. So one could also look at this from that perspective. And then the world, he says, is a garden, and the Prabh self the gardener. And the gardener tends to all the flowers without exception. Sada samale ko nahi khali. But here's the real insight is that just as a flower spreads its fragrance, jehi vasana paye tehi varte, and is known by it, vasu vas janavanya, similarly, humans are known by their nature and tendencies. In other words, you reflect who you really are. And being a manmukh is really a universal condition. It is the disease of ego that afflicts the world. Manmukh rogi hai sansara. Because it is alienated from that transcendent principle of happiness. Sukhdatta visre agam apara. जिन कीती सोई बिद जाने आप करे ता हुक्म पछाणे जेहा अंदर पाए तेहा वर्तै आपे बाहर पावणया. The Creator who, Jin, caused the world, Jin Kite, knows the way out as well. The world that we are trapped in, so to speak, in the senses, when it bestows wisdom, aap kare, then the individual recognizes or realizes the workings of its hukam. It understands the system, so to speak. And jeha andar paye teha varte ape bahar pavanya, as within, so without. And the Guru concludes by saying that for me, tis bajon sache main hor na koi. For me, there is no other except the one eternal Master. Just lay lie so nirmal hoy. It is by attaching to that Master that the affliction of ego is cleansed. And Nanak concludes, to those whom it is given, in other words, those who are so graced, in their heart is awakened self-knowledge. Nanak naam vase ghat antar jas deve so pavanaya. So we can see that this passage highlights the importance of proper education, of proper form, of proper technique, regardless of the domain we are operating in. It's applicable everywhere. And of course, within the domain of spirituality and spiritual development, it takes a great deal of sobriety to assimilate and grasp Gurbani, which is the language of the Satgur, the enlightener, which is the imperative for self-knowledge. Satgur Sachi Sikh Suṇai. And the goal of the Satgur is to train the mind to perceive the imperceptible, to grasp what is transcendental, to feel the non-existent. That, in other words, to train the mind to experience that essence which is the cause of all that can be perceived, all that is eminent, and what has existence. Because remember, Har is Agam, Agochar, Anath, Ajoni, Satgur ke paye pavanaya. So it is through the Satgur that we can actually perceive or sense or experience or be guided by the Har Self. And so Guru Amar Das is celebrating the Satgur's method through which the mind achieves a state of intuitive awareness which enables us to quote-unquote see beyond the eyes. In other words, we get deeper insight, and to quote-unquote hear beyond the ears by removing the obstruction, limitation of the ego. वारी जियो वारी आप निवारणे आप गावे ता हर पाए आप गवाए ता हर पाए हर स्यों सहज समावने, with intuitive ease. And then when he assesses the current methods adopted to achieve a goal, the Guru says that now we have to remember that Guru Amar Das was really a devotee of the mother goddess, the Devi of Vaishnavi order, before his contact with Guru Angad and Sikhi. And in this passage, we can actually discern that his assessment of the path that he was on, or what he saw around him, was not really fruitful. Pura bilikhya sukaram kamaya. In other words, bad outcomes, not desirable outcomes. So he concludes that other paths and ways are ineffective, that practicing them only burdens the mind and offers no real benefit. Ninda karkar bahut par uthave. Here, I'm suggesting that it signifies wrong belief or erroneous thinking. So what we need to understand is the cause and effect between thought and action. We are what we think. Jehi vasana paye tehi varte. Other methods and paths do not take it to the source and keep us enmeshed in the concrete particulars of existence. In other words, it just deals with the outside world and is outward looking. The Har, on the other hand, the Gurmat teaches us that the Har, the self, is within. We have to invert our senses from the outside to the inside. On that note, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.